Welcome to Homestead Gardens and Homestead. Rex is telling you hello too. Our last frost date has come and gone, but as true to fashion in some years, we got a late frost. Now we did this a few years ago and it wiped out everything we had planted. Luckily this year there was just a few things that have planted that it affected, and most everything in the garden has overwintered, and so the frost didn't bother it. But I had planted potatoes a few weeks ago and they were affected. Now the ground didn't freeze, so it wasn't that bad of an issue, but we had already planted a few of the tomatoes, and that is a different story. And the whole reason of this video is to just show you that sometimes the frost comes in and it will be late and you won't expect it, and it'll take some things. That's why you plant in cycles. You don't plant everything out all at one time when you're planting early in the spring, just in case something like this happens, and you always seed inside more than you're going to need. So let's get over into the garden. Now it didn't freeze the ground, but a lot of the stuff above the ground is taking a toll. These are my potatoes, and you can see that they're a little wilty in some spots. Now some spots it didn't affect at all, and then there's some spots where it's a little wilty. So what I'm going to do, as I said, it didn't affect underneath. I'm going to take these, and of course I'm going to drop them right in place, but I'm going to clip off what was affected. And the thing about potatoes is they're just going to grow back. So I'm going to go all around the plants, taking off only what I need to, and my potatoes will be okay. They'll continue to grow underneath. They'll put back out more on top, no problems. So this isn't an issue. Just clip it off, and you can see that this one doesn't look any different now than the ones beside it that weren't even affected. So I'll finish clipping this off. What didn't fare so well were some of the tomatoes that I had already planted. Now I've got about 30 inside that I haven't planted. I'm just now starting to get them used to the outside. But there were some that I planted and they did not fare too well. Let me show you those. Now here are the tomatoes. Now you can see this one wasn't really affected all that much at all. I'm going to go ahead and clip off this lower branch. In fact, I'm going to clip off these so that we don't want those anyway, and some of the life can go to that. This one, it just doesn't look like anything's left of that, but me being who I am, I'm going to clip it down to the first little nodes here where they had already been trimmed, and let's see what it can do, because it is green where I clipped it, and I'm going to do the same with this one. Now you can see that it's got a couple of little green leaves on it. This one really doesn't have much of anything, so same with that one. And these next three. Now these potatoes didn't seem to be bothered at all, except for this one right here. So I'm going to clip off the tops of this one. And everything else seems to be good. So these were pretty much not affected. Now most everything else in the garden was not really affected, because most everything else is something that grew through the winter, and it took some really cold weather. So this last little frost didn't hurt it, but it did get the potato greens and it did attack the tomatoes. Now you want to do this just like you're propagating. You see down here where you got leaves coming out? You want to get right down there and clip that off. All your bad ones. And then just throw it around your plant That way it's got some extra mulch. And then you won't even know that the frost got your potatoes. Now these two plants right here, actually I think there's three, are beets that I left to grow over winter so that I could harvest the greens. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to harvest all these greens for one last time, and I'm pull up the beets. Now I'm not going to let them go to seed, and the reason being is because right here I have Swiss chard, and right there in the same bed I have Swiss chard, and they're cousins, and they cross-pollinate, and I won't get a true seed for my beets. And so I am going to plant beets here again that can grow, and there will be a few that I leave for next winter, but I will be planting beets elsewhere so that I can get seeds, but just not from these. These were grown specifically for the greens. If I raise it in this bed, it's specifically for the greens. Now I plant them in this bed, and even though the Swiss chard's there, if I have true seeds, I'm going to get really good beets, and I do that. But if I leave them here to overwinter so that I can get the greens, I'm not going to get true seeds. So these will not, in this bed period, are not beets that I will let go to seed. Those will be beets that are grown elsewhere. So I'm going to harvest these for the last time.